Hello everyone, this is Ashish. Welcome back to our podcast. We are again going to have a fine discussion on career. Today, I want to focus more towards the national level competitive examinations like GATE and other government job examinations versus the private sector. And do understand that it is not a choice between one and another. Both generally goes hand in hand. For example, I myself appeared in many of the private sector job interviews in my final year, and later on as well, I kept applying for many of the private sector jobs. But I also appeared in GATE 3 times, Indian Space Research Organization examinations 3 times, BARC examination twice, engineering services examination twice, and a lot of freaking scattered around examinations. You get the point. The thing is that these national level competitive examinations takes time. There's a lot of people and a lot less seat. And this is not what is happening right now. It has always been going on. This is how it works. Everybody wants it, and to get it, it's going to take a serious amount of struggle. Personally, I struggled with it for 3 years, and that's how I ended up appearing in ISRO examinations 3 times and GATE examinations 3 times. And a lot of times you will end up getting a job and then keep on preparing for another examination, failing in those examinations, again appearing, and finally you get something better. All right. So when it comes to competitive examinations, I've always said that it's a game of 0 and 1. You either make it or you don't. If you don't, it's another year. If you do, you don't even care about it again, unless you want to go for a better something else. For example, I got Bombay Atomic Research Center, but I wanted Indian Space Research Organization. It is extremely common for someone to get a public sector undertaking PSU job and then go for engineering services and then go for civil services. You know how it goes. But the thing is that you will have to define that standard of what you are aiming for. And the general consensus might not fit for you. For example, if everybody says that engineering services is the best, does not mean that that will work for you. If everybody says that civil services is the most difficult examination, it's the most respected job position, that might not work for you. For me, it was Indian Space Research Organization. But to get there, I had to keep my eyes and ears open for everything else. Otherwise, I would not be able to sustain my preparation. So that's why I'm saying that preparing for competitive examination will eventually, inevitably involve private sector, and even being in private sector eventually might cause you to think about government sector, and you should have solid information. And that's where I come in. Okay. So the whole introduction was why you should listen to what I'm going to talk about. Quick note, The Boy Who Did Not Sign, written by me over a year ago. I published it and I wrote it for 5 years before that. It's based on my story, my journey of getting into Indian Space Research Organization. Not going to talk much about it. I'm just going to say, if you are interested in this book, you can read it for free, about 20 to 30 pages on Amazon. It's a free sample. And then you can make your decisions appropriately. Now, let's get into the topic. Who should prepare for GATE examination? So GATE examination is generally only for 2 things. Number 1, it is for government jobs. Or number 2, it is for masters in India, very specifically in India. If you are planning to do your masters abroad, then you don't need to even think about GATE examination, unless you are planning to do your PhD abroad. Now, that might be a possibility for many of you. Doing masters abroad involves a lot of money. It's not something which is hidden. And I'm not going to talk about doing masters in Europe. That is relatively cheaper, multiple times cheaper than doing masters in America. But I do not have experience in that, so I'm not going to talk about that. And if I had to make a decision of doing masters in America or masters in Europe, I would have gone to America. And since I have lived in America for close to 3 years, I have a good idea of the scene over here and how things work out for most people who choose to do masters in America. So I'm going to stick to that. But when I'm talking about masters in America, that involves a lot of money. PhD in America, on the other hand, requires no money. You are going to get funding, hopefully. If you don't, doing PhD from US would be worse than doing your masters from US, because it's like a 5 years funding of tuition. I don't know how you're going to get it if your university or your professor is not going to fund it. So if you're planning to do PhD from America, and I had Komal over here too, she's doing right now PhD in America, and her program is 100% funded, how it should be. And if you are from like a low tier college in India, not much research exposure, not good letter of recommendations, then to many, a career step is to do masters in top universities like IITs and ISC, and then go for PhD in America. It's extremely common. So same the way someone would complete masters in America, someone would complete PhD in America. It's a multiple times longer program. For example, masters is 1 to 2 years long, and PhD would be 4 to 5 years long. But people will end up doing the same kind of thing after PhD. So after PhD is the same, like you would go for an industrial job, you might go for a postdoc and then choose the academia path too. But if you're looking for industry, it's the same path, but a level higher, because PhD is also considered as a solid experience in most fields. So that's how you can't really talk about career trajectory in GATE examination just by talking about national level competitive examination. If you want to make a decision of whether you should prepare for GATE or not, this is just one of the many things that you should keep in mind. And what I just talked about is getting to America without investing any money, right? If you have money and you would want to go to America and do your masters over there, you don't even need to care about GATE examination, because both are not going to go hand in hand. That is why I wanted to talk about GATE versus MS abroad in detail. But this video, I'm just going to touch the surface. All right. Other things that you need to take care of. Why would you need GATE examination 100%? Like, it is now compulsory for you to prepare for GATE examination. You're not in a great college, you do not have campus placements, and even if you go off campus, your degree is not going to carry a lot of weight. You're not going to get a lot of job offers. And that was exactly the position that I was in. I did not get any campus placement, even though my CGPA was 9.57. I was the bronze medalist of my university in mechanical engineering, but I did not get any campus placements. And that happens more often than you think. If you're in first year, you might think that that's never going to happen to me. It might, right? So that is a position where you have to prepare for GATE examination. And thus I ended up preparing for GATE examination somewhere around third year, first semester of third year, close to that. And I was like, this is my only option. And to them, if your college is not giving you a sound career after you would graduate, GATE is inevitable. If you cannot afford to go for masters abroad or choose to not to go for masters abroad, many people just want to stay in India for various reasons, whatever it might be. But if those things are the way I said, then you will have to prepare for GATE examination. Have to. Now, there are a lot of misconceptions that you need a very solid background in physics, mathematics, and engineering to prepare for GATE examination. That is all bogus and false. Whoever has told you has never prepared for GATE examination, or they were super smart and just gave GATE examination without much preparation and it worked out for them. But in majority of the cases, and this is something that I've been seeing since I stepped foot in the Delhi coaching institute landscape, and I was over there from 2016 to mid of 2017, just before I entered Bhabha Atomic Research Center. So being over there, I understood that it's mostly average to below average people who are cracking these examinations with outstanding performance. Now, it is very true that people who have always been winners in academics always been class toppers, university toppers. They do excellent in these competitive examinations as well. No doubt in that. There are exceptions that they get their shit beaten out of them too. These competitive examinations show bad days to the best people, because this examination is kind of blind. We say andha kanun, that is what this competitive examination is. Doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, what was your past, what was your background. You perform well on that day, you are going to get out of this tunnel with a 1. If not, it's a 0. Come back again or find something else. But most people, if I generalize it, most people who have had good background in academics generally have good background in physics and mathematics, and so generally they find it easier to crack these national level competitive examinations like GATE, engineering services, and other PSU examinations. So yeah, there are minorities who have always been excellent in academics, and they appear in GATE examination and perform generally well because most of them have prior experience of competitive examinations like IIT JEE. But they are really minorities. Those are like 2 to 3%. And the reason for that is that if they have done so well in their academics, they generally get campus placements, or they have so many prospects like getting a good master's abroad or PhD abroad, and they just go for that. I've seen very rarely people from IITs and NITs preparing for competitive examination. I'm saying it's just 3 to 10%, depending on the year too, because sometimes there's just like tough market and they end up looking at GATE examination. But like I said, majority of the people are average to below average. Majority of them did not take IIT JEE seriously, and so majority of them are at a very mediocre level. Now, they might have worked extremely hard for 4 years in their undergraduation, like I did too, but unfortunately, because they were not in a great university, their concepts might not be that strong. Like I was in the situation when I graduated. I thought I was freaking awesome. I thought that I was outstanding in mechanical engineering, but over time I realized that there are a lot of gaps in my concept. So everybody preparing for this examination is average to below average, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And everybody who cracked this examination with flying colors, majority of them just built it in 1 to 2 years of their preparation. So get that myth out of your head that if you are going to prepare for GATE examination, you have to be remarkable. You have to be remarkably resilient. Now that's another topic that I want to talk about. So for example, I got this question over here. This is interesting. I'm 25 years old, 2022 pass out, mechanical engineer, didn't have any job don't have any job experience. Sir, how can I start my career because companies are rejecting me because of the year gap, and I did not do anything after graduating? The first response over here is try GATE, and that is the exact opposite of what I'm going to say. Don't try GATE. No matter what you do, don't try GATE, because you're 25 years old, and from my experience, but more importantly from experience of hundreds and hundreds of students that I have talked to who have prepared for GATE examination right after graduating, has prepared for GATE while in undergraduation, have prepared for GATE after quitting a job or while having a job, looking at the wide range of sample size that I've gotten, I can say that these examinations generally take more than a year. Quite common for it to take 2 to 3 years. It took 3 years for me. Keep that in mind. And I personally consider myself to be one on the lucky side, honestly, because it could have gone any way. And looking at the majority of the hundreds of thousands of people who appear in these competitive examinations, if you are going to choose to prepare for this examination, keep in mind that only the lucky ones, extremely lucky ones, now I'm saying like God is having hand on their head right now, those are the ones who are cracking it in 6 months, if they do not have prior competitive examination experiences like IIT JEE. Again, saying that people from top universities, people who have already prepared very well for IIT JEE examination in the senior secondary, I'm not considering them because they are minorities. For you, if they come to me personally and say, Ashish, should I prepare for these? I have no other option, or I want to get into government sector, I say go for it. You have a good base and you're probably going to make it in 6 months. But for everybody else, unless you are stupid lucky, you should consider that, if you're wise, that it will take 1 to 2 years. And I'm saying that with solid amount of backing. And the backing is the amount of syllabus that you need to cover, the revision that you need to do for being ready for 100% of your 4 years of undergraduation for a single 3-hour examination, and the amount of test series and practice that you have to give so that you are ready with pinpoint accuracy, because there are only 65 questions in this examination and you have to perform over 58 and with outstanding amount of accuracy. For other examinations like ISRO and BARC, there might be 100 questions, same. You have to be very accurate. You cannot be affording to make mistakes. And for that, it requires practice. For you to perform well in any question coming from all of those 4 years of engineering, you have to have many revisions, cycles of revision. And obviously, you have to cover 100% of the syllabus. This is not true for IIT JEE examination, but it is 100% true for engineering-based national level competitive examinations. All right, exceptions in all cases. For example, BARC, you do not need to prepare for mathematics. For ISRO, production is not that important, but those are like exceptions. But apart from that, when I'm talking about heat transfer, thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, strength of material, machine design, they're all important. You cannot afford to miss anything. So, bottom line, it will probably take a lot of time. It doesn't. I'm happy, you're out of this. You never need to listen to me ever again until you do again. But to most of you, you should understand that time is a factor. And if you're 25, you're 28 and your career is not doing good, you are going to be 28 or 30 if you get into this puddle or huge amount of swamp of competitive examination. That's generally how it works. And even the worst part is that the 1 to 2 years that you're in this, there's no skill development. So when you get back to the industry, now that same, what was that, 5 years of year gap was now like 7 years of year gap. Do you understand? Right. If you don't have any options, now I have students come to me all the time who are like, I don't have any options, like this guy. The companies are rejecting me and I need to prepare for GATE examination. Do prepare for GATE examination, but do not stop applying for jobs on LinkedIn or job profiles of the or job openings of the company. Whatever it is, you cannot stop fighting over there. GATE examination is not as reliable. And especially if you're starting from ground zero, which a lot of you guys are, and even if you have completed your engineering, if you never turn the previous year question bank of GATE examination, you are starting from ground zero. Understand that properly. And if you're starting from ground zero, just syllabus completion alone is going to take 6 months. And you complete the syllabus for 6 months and give a full mock test of 100 marks, and you're going to score less than 20 marks. That's how it works. And that's what happens to many people who drop out right after graduating. They leave the campus placement, they don't take the job, they go straight to Delhi. This was more popular when I was preparing, but lesser and lesser right now because of the online coaching institutes. But say you go to Delhi and you're like, I'm going to take 2 classes a day. I'm going to take 8 hours of a class, 8 hours of class a day. And then I'm going to do revision. I'm going to rinse and repeat and do that on Saturdays and Sundays. And I'm going to do that for 6 months. And done, my syllabus is complete from the best coaching institute on the planet, the best teachers, that's their propaganda, whatever it is. And you're like, oh, I should be performing well in this examination. And then you give that GATE examination in February and you're like, I did not even qualify. And if I did, it does not matter because I scored like 35 marks and I'm not even getting NITs for masters. So that's probably because you could not revise, you could not give test series. So, like I said, it does not require talent. It does not require that AAA grade at senior secondary, great university, great CGPA in that university. It does not require talent, but it does require a strategy and a solid method of syllabus completion, revision, and test series. So understand the realities. That's all that I'm saying. So what should you do if you're like 28 and you are not getting any job offers because of the year gap? Unfortunately, that's how it works, that you need prior this many years of experience. I would say develop a skill that is required in the industry. It might be computational engineering, CAE softwares, it might be CAD softwares, it might be data processing, machine learning, AI, whatever it is. Look for the job openings and look at what it is asking. And many times it might not require a certain years of job experience, or even if it does, it might not be the most important bullet point in that job opening. But more importantly, if you have the skills, if you have the projects, and obviously that is why like the whole idea of this channel is that people understand these things early on. So say you're undergraduate right now in second semester, you're listening to me, you're like, got it, this is what I need to do. Right now you have time, you have time of developing skills, and you have 3 years before you graduate. You can do all of this while preparing for GATE examination, and maybe you'll perform well in GATE examination and then go for a master and then pursue your skill development further, or get a job and then pursue it better. But if the time is to a huge extent gone from your hands, then you'll have to work even harder and even more strategically. Not saying it cannot be done, but don't make mistakes like Ashish. 5 years after graduating, I don't have a single job experience, and now I'm going to give a fresh start to this whole new monster, which is going to take minimum of 3 years for me to crack it with a great performance. Should I take a bet? Because you said that if I'm stupid lucky, I'm going to crack it in 6 months. Yes, but what if you don't? So keep ready with other things like developing skills, which is actually required in the industry. Okay. Other thing that opens with GATE examination. So people who do not understand, it is 100 marks, and the people who are going to get PSUs and top IITs are generally scoring 75 to 85. And it's a very general, because there are times where the topper is scoring 99 marks and under 100 is like over 80. And then there are times where like under 100 is over like 78, and it depends on the branch and a lot of mess. But generally you can speak that 75 and above, you're going to get something. In GATE 2016, I scored 50, GATE 2017, I scored 71, and GATE 2018, I scored 71 or so as well. And all of my accomplishments and the job offers that I got from BARC and ISRO were from exams other than GATE examination. But at the same time, the preparation for GATE examination did help me. I did get selected into a master's program in IIT Bombay just on the basis of GATE 2017, but I never took it. But yes, these are the results of my GATE appearances. So it is fairly common for you to see things like this. So I can say that other than IIT, I did not get any offers from PSUs. And the BARC interview call that I got was from a separate examination. Eventually, the ISRO interview call that I got was from separate examination. And I got like a 3 years master program RA call for IIT Bombay from my GATE performance. So that's the range that I want to explain over here. So above 75, you will start getting PSU calls. It might be lower for other branches, but understand that just look at the top 100 of any stream of engineering. What is the GATE marks that you're getting? And then top 100 to top 150 rank, all India rank, you can expect top masters and PSU calls for interviews at least. And then below that, there's a range where you can expect to get calls for master's interviews or further written tests. It depends on a particular IIT, and obviously in that range you're also going to start getting top NITs. For example, in 2017 I would get top NITs with top branches like thermal design. I would be getting in like NIT Trichy, Warangal, Calicut. I never applied for it because eventually I did end up getting like master's offers from IIT, and I was getting some calls from IIT Delhi, so I was appearing in those. So you do not need to, but that's a good backup. And below that you would start getting like a lower branch in IITs and a lower branch in NITs. For example, I was getting top branch in IIT Bombay. I was getting thermal, and they were saying that eventually you can get design, you're on waitlist. So those are like top branches, right? So it basically goes like top IITs, top branches, and PSU job offer calls for interviews. Then it is like 3-year program, top branch and top institute, and then it in somewhere over there you're also going to start getting direct PhD offers from many of the Indian institutes. And below that is like top NIT, and below that you go random courses in IITs and random courses in NITs, and this is like 55, 60, 65, like that. So the reason why I'm saying all of it is that, say you're running out of time and you're not getting job offers, and you're appearing for GATE examination and you get like 60 marks, right? Enroll yourself in any master's program. Now is your chance to perform very well, learn a lot in this master's program, and probably there will be some kind of campus placement over there, because probably you did not come from a university with a lot of campus placements. Now you have your chance, and that's how many people make a good career as well. They do their masters very well, they work on their research papers very well, and they still have a chance to go ahead and do their PhD abroad, which will probably be fully funded because they are in a good university now. They have made good relationship with the professors. These professors generally have good relationship with professors abroad, and so it is more feasible that way. You understand how you need to understand about various different fields to make a good career. You have to understand the whole ecosphere. So yeah, generally there are a lot of things to be said, but many things will be particularly applicable for you. For example, if you're in job, if you're from a particular university, if this was your base, if this is your understanding, this is how long you have been preparing for this examination, these were your past performances, I would most likely be able to tell you, you should prepare for this examination again. You should never prepare for this examination ever again. You should quit your job and prepare for this examination. You should not quit your job. That's what I'm usually able to say with like 5 to 6 years of experience of talking to various youngsters who are young in their career. But these are the things that I'm making those judgment based on. If I missed something, please put your questions down in the comment section. Either I'll just respond over there in the comment if it's a short answer. Otherwise, you'll get like I'll discuss it in the upcoming podcast. But I'm happy to share my experiences. Okay. Now, moving more and more in the direction of building your resume. Now, building your resume is generally a reverse engineering process. To build a great resume, you should understand what is requirement right now in the job market. For example, 10 years ago, the requirement would be you should be good with CATIA and SolidWorks. There's a requirement in many job positions right now as well, but that was probably the only requirement for mechanical engineers who are just graduating fresh out of college. Now, it might be Python, MATLAB, and artificial intelligence. Maybe electromechanical systems, control systems. We did not even have MATLAB back when we were doing undergraduation, but now it's kind of a compulsory thing. Simulink, a lot of young graduates are learning that software straight out of the college. So what I would say that for a particular time, because there are people who are going to be watching this video 2 years later as well, and right now what I would do is for your particular qualifications. I'll look for the job openings, and there are bullet points over there. And I would then understand that, okay, I need to learn structural analysis because I want to develop a career in automotive industry. And many of the analysis is done in CAE softwares like crash analysis, the strength or the structural rigidity that a particular frame or a bracket will require. So it is fairly common. If I'm going to go ahead and work in an industry which is developing heat exchangers, then I'll probably need to learn computational fluid dynamics. If it is an industry which is designing HVAC systems, I'll probably need to understand refrigeration and air conditioning very well and computational fluid dynamics. Now, understanding this, I can be very smart and go on the internet and look for a free project that is already made in HVAC systems. It might be of a car or a shopping complex or whatever it is. And I'll understand what are the ins and outs, what are the inputs, what are the softwares, what is the post-processing. And so I can then put it in my resume. And a lot of time, you can straight up lie about it. You just need to be good enough for you to be able to answer those questions when they are asked in the interview. And if I'm talking to Indians, they know how they did their major projects. And I get those questions many times that, Ashish, I did my major projects like 4 years ago and I kind of bullshitted my way because I was more focused towards like gate examination or campus placement or whatever it was, or the industry that I went on, they completely ignored my internship. And I just said that this is what I did. My university passed me and now I'm preparing for ISRO interview. And they are going to ask me questions related to my major project. Well, you just have to be good enough to answer general questions about the projects, which are mostly focused on what you did to get what you wanted to solve, what were the methods you took. So you can prepare accordingly. In a similar manner, many people who are like 5-6 years ago trying to get into machine learning, all they did was pick a project online and understood. This is where you really need to put time and energy. You need to understand that you do not need a job experience to gain a skill. You need a skill to get a job experience. So it's a chicken egg problem, right? So you go over there, projects online, study it, understand it, spend good amount of time, develop a skill. And then when you're going for an interview or you're talking to a recruiter, you're like, I did all this project. You're looking for a guy who knows all this particular set of skills so that I can work on whatever your company is trying to do right now. So here it is. And then the recruiter is like, all right, you said all of these things in your resume. Tell me about this. Tell me about this. And you're like, yes, I know. Yes, I know. This too. You do not need to get paid to learn all of those things. And so building a resume is a lot of times reverse engineering. And I need to talk about these harsh truths to the youngsters of this country because I know where they are. I know about the Indian education system. I know what they are learning in the college. I know about the semester examination system. I know the campus placement scenario. And I also know what competitive examination takes from these students. Also, that these competitive examinations are not really going to give you any practical skill. Good conceptual understanding, 100% true. And that is why these examinations were created. The GATE examination is created by IITs for your entrance examination for masters in IITs. That was the whole idea. For that, you need to have sound conceptual understanding of engineering basics taught in your undergraduation. But other PSUs and all said that I'm going to take this benchmark examination for my entrance examination. And so it became like a PSU opening. But competitive examination for that very reason only tests your conceptual understanding. Companies don't really need that much of conceptual understanding. That is why when you go for BARC interview, they're like, all right, now you need to explain to me what is the shear stress distribution across a beam which is shaped like a T. And when you go for a job interview, which is for some tech company job, which probably pays you more, But the question is like, all right, if I put a point load, what is the deflection at the end of this cantilever beam? And we're like, PL cubed by 3 obviously. So they don't really go to that depth. And at the same time, in that BARC interview, even if you told like this is the stress distribution, you'll probably end up asking, why? Show me what is the distribution formula and tell me how I actually got to this. What is area moment of inertia? How did you actually get it? What is second moment of inertia? Oh, you know that too. Then what is first moment of inertia? How can you use that to find center of gravity of a particular geometry? And you're like, what the hell is he talking about? But that's why master's or PhD interviews are so conceptual. But industries, they generally need practical understanding of how machines work and whether you'll be able to carry on the work that you're assigned for. And for that, you need to create practical projects. A lot of times, these are the ones you'll end up working with too when you join the job. For example, how you would use Python for data analysis or analyzing like thousands and thousands of cell of Excel sheet and cleaning up the data and using some methods which are generally codes to clean up the data. And in a similar manner, CAE softwares, when you are taught by some institute, or if you took some separate coaching or something for answers, I know this because I did that too. They're like, oh, this is a beam and you apply a load over here, but that's not a practical problem. In industry, you need practical problems. And that is why they're asking for job experiences, so that they get someone who has already been there and they do not have to spend a lot of resources training this particular individual, so that he or she gets to a point in a year of how they will be able to actually give a return of investment, rather than get someone who has already been taught all that, get him here. So what they're expecting is not importantly job experience, but more importantly, if this person has actually worked in the projects that he will be or she will be working on over here. So all you need is to get those projects out of the internet. And there are many people who are like working professionals who are doing this for side income or whatever it might be, on YouTube channels or whatever. Hell, even ANSYS has a set of tutorials on CAE software. Just go to ANSYS Learning or something like that on YouTube, and you'll see like a series playlists and playlists of just lectures on how to solve practical problems, so much that you'll probably not be able to cover all of them. It's a great starting point. If nothing, you will be able to bullshit yourself into a company, and there you go. You got your first job experience. Okay, anyways, moving on to the next topic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for some dark talks. Yes, sir. I'm going to turn on some of the lights over here, make it red, and make it a little bit dimmer. Yes, it's time for some dark talks. I'm just kidding, man. I'm gonna get it back up. Alright, now that I've gotten that out of my system, just show off that all my lights are freaking remote control, bro. Okay, talking about some dark topics, like not black magic, but topics like, you're gonna face dark days in your life, and more often than not, it's going to be fairly dark, and it's going to be more and more dark when you're early on in your career, because the way I see it is people in their 20s, early 20s are like the lowest currency in the world. Again, if you have been keeping your eyes open for job openings or applying for jobs, anything apart from campus, even if you have gotten your first job, you're 2 years in, you're like, all of these job openings are asking for like 5 to 7 years of experience. I definitely don't have that. It's asking for a master's. I don't have that. There are so many people from IITs and NITs applying for the same job. I don't have that. And also, I need to find a girl, I need to find a guy, I need to get to eventually marry my girlfriend or whatever it is. There's like a huge amount of mess going on over there, and actually the same kind of shit you're seeing over there too, right? Especially if you're if you're not in a relationship, you're trying to find a partner at that time, you're the same freaking thing. They're like, boys would be having this feeling that, oh, there are more successful guys over there, girls are more attractive to them. Girls would be having like, oh, they're prettier girls over there, and more successful guys goes for them, or whatever. It's a mess, right? And I'm here to tell you that mess is never gonna end. so, so a very bright opening to a dark topic. But I'm not here to bullshit you. I'm 31 years old, although I've been pretty sound when it comes to relationship for the past like 4 or 5 years or so. I've been lucky in that. But when it comes to career, it's like a constant battle and always an uphill climb. And you always are struggling. And at some point you are like, how long am I going to be struggling, right? And that by now you're already like in agreement of what you were told, that your 10th standard examination is the one examination you need to focus on. Then you were told like your 12th standard examination, board examination, is the one thing you need to get rid of, or the one thing you need is to get to a good university, or your NIT or IIT, and some of you did and you still found that that's not enough, or some of you did not, you lived with a regret for 3 years and now you're about to graduate and the struggle continues. And to you it was told that you need to prepare for gate examination, and you did, or you became an engineering services officer, and still like you're like, there's more fight over here, I need to keep struggling. It really is never going to end, at least to where I am. It's not going to end in the next like 10 years or so for you. But also I want to say that there are a lot of people who are very settled. They are like in the job that they want, they are comfortable, they have a safe source of income. Many of my batchmates are having kids, they are married, and like literally everybody in my BARC training program batch, everybody is married. Most who were in my batch in Indian Space Research Organization, all of them are married, right? So they are looking forward to like buying a house or settling down, having kids and all that. So that's all well and good. And right now, living over here in America for the past 3 years or so, there's so many Indians over here, especially in the Silicon Valley, the Bay Area. There's so many Indians over here. And same thing for them as well. The only thing difference is that they worked in India for some time, then they came for masters in America, then they continued working in America, right? Or they just completed their undergraduation, went for a masters in America, and then they started working in America, or they did a PhD, and you get the whole routine, right? So many of them, after like 5 to 6 years, they are fairly stable, and many of them at this point are like in agreement with like, this is my life and this is what I got. I'm turning 30 now, I'm turning 35 now, and I'm investing in stock market, and I'm planning to buy this house, or I bought this house and this is my mortgage and all that. But there's some kind of inconvenience which comes from settling down. And to those who are like in early 20s will not be able to understand this. And I definitely did not feel any of this when I was like 22 or 23, or when I got into ISRO. I was just 23 years old at that time. Or no, I was 23 when I got to BARC. I was 24 when I got to ISRO. So super young. And at that time, the life is like so fast and the struggle has been so long already that you might be having a feeling that I just need to freaking relax, man. Give me a good amount of income and a stable career, and a career with job satisfaction, and a career with constant growth. And you need to understand that requires more than you can think of, or it asks for more than you think it should ask. Like the ask is always more than your expectation. It is in general the case. Like look at where you are right now. Like whatever amount of accomplishments you have had right now, you're probably unsatisfied, and you're probably thinking that with this amount of struggle that I've been through, I should have had more, right? If you have no struggle so far in your belt, what the hell, man? Stop listening to me right now and go start working. This is not for people who are just looking for motivation over here. I'm not even talking about it. Matter of fact, this will be more demotivating. But if you have done, just like the projects that I was talking about, if you have done any big project in your life, like I wanted this job and I went over there and got it. I wanted this master's, I went over there, got it. I wanted this MBA, I worked for it, I got it, right? I wanted this promotion, I went out there and got it. Whatever you got, you are probably thinking that I should have gotten a little bit more for the work that I have put in for this, right? And it's going to happen just like that. Like whatever you want, the ask is always going to be more than what you're expecting it to ask. It is always going to take more. And I think that it is designed that way, that you need to have some amount of struggle to develop some amount of skills. And it might be anything. Like if you work for a promotion, you worked extremely hard and you got a good amount of skill. And even though it might happen that your company screwed you over and did not pay you as much as you were expecting, but that skill is within you. And what you're going to do with that is up to you. And in a similar manner, when you move forward in life as well, you are always going to find struggle in every place. The only two ways that you can deal with it: number one, lower your expectation, or number two, come to an agreement that this war is never going to end. Understand that. So either you settle down, and I've seen many people settling down in my first government job, in my second government job. Hell, I saw many people settling even before that, right? Whatever campus placement they got from their college, they just settled down for that. And that's good. They came to an agreement that this is what I want and I'm going to stick to it. And there's nothing wrong. I'm not talking about it in a derogatory sense. They came to peace with that, and that's good for them. And now they're going to be happy. That I know as well, because I constantly stay in touch with my friends who are still working in the same organizations that I left. And they're all in agreement with, yeah, every job, every position has its own problems. And no matter what you do, you move forward, you find more problems. Sometimes you find the same problems. That's all well and good. For example, lot of problem when it comes to Bhabha Atomic Research Center or Department of Atomic Energy when it comes to posting. You jump to IOCL, or you jump to engineering services, or you jump to Indian Space Research Organization like I did, same problems over there as well, right? If you leave to a private sector, yes, you're getting paid more, and you are now actually getting opportunity to make changes over there fairly early in your career because it's a smaller organization. But then you're like, it's a freaking smaller organization. I'm used to an organization which is like spread across the country, right? And thousands and thousands of employees. Now I'm in a small startup in Bangalore. So there's pluses and minuses everywhere. And looking at these things, some people just settled down and accepted the problems they had with their current situation. And some went ahead and tried more things. Some went ahead and tried a startup or whatever it might be. But they all faced problems. And so there are just two ways. Either you settle down, accept the problems. And this might be with you when you are 22 years old, just graduating, the first job that you found, it just pays you 30,000 rupees a month. And you're like, that's good. That's good. I'm just going to stay here, keep growing slow and steady. Or you're like, I'm going to keep moving. That's your second choice. The second choice is like, you're going to keep on exploring. And that is in human nature to a huge extent, right? Now, the one thing that I think I'm one of the very few who can actually comment upon it, because I started my struggle at the age of 18 and I never stopped. I'm about to turn 31 right now. So it's about like over 10 years of me I could have settled down anywhere. I could have settled down with the contract level job that I got right after graduating that was off campus. I could have settled down in my first job, my second job. I could have settled down with my edtech industry YouTube channel and the consultation and the website that I was running. I could have settled down with this book. I could have settled down at any point. So I can say what can happen when you don't settle down. When you don't settle down, you're always under a huge amount of mental pressure, right? You're always doing something like, God damn it, another examination, another interview, another proposal, another new project, another failure. There's always that, right? That's huge amount of mental pressure. And that, to a huge extent, keeps you young. And this is a compulsory for people who are like 22 years old, 23 years old. It's compulsory. And I think that keeps them young. And if you choose to do that, I think that keeps you young, not in a way that your hair is black and you look skinny or whatever, but more in the sense like your mindset is very young. And that mindset happens like you're looking to learn from everybody because you're constantly growing. You're appreciating everybody no matter what they do. And you're very humble because you're always telling yourself you're not good enough. You're constantly working for something that is out of your reach right now. So obviously, naturally, you are being told that you're not good enough. And that keeps you humble, right? It is very common for people to settle down and then start thinking like they made it. Now, even though it is a choice, and at some point they settle down with humility that it is okay, I did not do that, but I'm settling down. But I've seen that ego grow. Now, that might be just me because I chose the other path. And obviously, I'm going to be biased. There's absolutely no doubt. And that is why I'm talking about it at the end, because I'm just sharing my perspective, right? And the pure reason that I'm choosing that path is because I think that that path is better. But I might be wrong. But this is why I choose this path. So settling down has that problem. And I know this to a huge extent because there have been points in my life across this 13 to 15 years. There have been points in my life where I've decided to settle down. It's like, that's enough. I need to live a little bit and I need to enjoy this. The moment I do this, I immediately think that, oh my God, this is just not enough, right? And that might be greed and hunger or ego and all of those negative things. But at the same time, that is also, I feel that there will be people who have settled down, and I don't think that is possible for them to completely kick that thought out of their head that they could be getting a little bit more. So it's a compromise. Either you are in a constant mental struggle, which is fine in a sense. You can think that the more struggle you face, the better you get at dealing with that same amount of struggle or higher level of struggle or pressure or mental barriers. But at the same time, if you settle down, life is smooth in that way, but also you will have that inside voice saying that you could be doing more, right? So it's in the same way that I talked about in my TED talk, or the same way I think is discussed in the 11th or 12th chapter. I know the subheading of that chapter, and that is A Late Goodbye. I gave it the title A Late Goodbye based on one of my favorite songs, that is A Late Goodbye, which I first heard in Max Payne 2. Some of you guys might have heard it. Poets of the Fall, I think the band is. Anyways, so the idea is you just choose the regret that you can live with. That's it. You are never going to live a life without any regret. Now, I am lucky enough to find a girl who is all right with whatever freaking crazy theatrics that I do with my career, right? Jumping off the cliffs and all. She's okay with it. There are a lot of people who take these risks, and their friends and family and their partners say that, fuck you. The hell are you thinking? I'm trying to settle down over here. What the hell are you doing, right? And there are so many people who sacrifice that. They're alone and they're moving and moving and moving because they just cannot be untrue to what they want to do. And It's a regret in one case or the other. I had to sacrifice a lot of things, and I'm not prepared to talk about all of those, but there has been a lot of sacrifices along the way, some of which I've already talked about. I missed out on my college life twice. Once when I was in undergraduation, second time when I was in BA as a training school, all because I was struggling constantly. And I could have went for vacations and trips and time with my friends or whatever that college undergrads do. I sacrificed all of them, and some other sacrifices I'm not even ready to talk about. But obviously, that's a regret, right? But then again, I would rather not regret not doing what I want to do, like publish this book, work in Indian Space Research Organization, and things like that. So the idea is that you just choose the regret that you can live with. Now, to those who have listened to my TED Talk, you might recall it. To those who haven't, I'll leave the link down in the description box. And to those who have read my book, you might recall me writing about that. And to those who haven't, I'll just read few lines, no spoilers. All right, so it was actually chapter 12, Man is at his best when... 27th July 2018, 10 a.m., Scar Academy, Mumbai. A late goodbye. All right, segment 1, looking for the things that I can talk without giving you away anything, because it's like deep inside chapter 12. Unlike me though, they had friends, and unlike me, they had made good memories that they would cherish for the rest of their lives. It was there that I realized I missed the opportunity to have fun in my second chance at college life as well. It seems like regret is inevitable no matter what you choose. In choosing the kind of life you want to live, you also choose the regret you can live with. And then some of the things happens. I do not want to talk about that. But then again, at the end, I would like to sit down one day and listen to it. The problem is, for that we would have to sit down as friends. And that we certainly are not. One of my biggest regrets coming out of the academy. But then again, we choose the regrets we can live with. Just like we choose what we cannot live without. And then a little bit something I cannot read over here. I knocked on the door of Sudha's office. She asked Rohit, who was at the middle of submitting his ID cards, to hurry up. Anyways, you get the point. Deep story in this book. I'm going to end this podcast with it, and links to various places you can get this book. It's down in the description box. As you can see, there are two versions now. Soft cover, hard copy, and a hardcover hard copy. Obviously, there are Kindle, Google Book, Apple Book, all the versions available wherever you choose to get your books. And thank you for listening to me for over an hour, I guess. Close to an hour at least. And sorry for the delay. I've been busy in life. And I think I get new thoughts and ideas when I really get busy. And I do not have so much time anymore to be making 3 videos a week. I barely am able to make one podcast a month. Thankfully, I have a team in place who makes the shots and the reels and the clips, and they're taking a lot of workload, and hopefully I can stay in touch with you. But I still do read all your comments, so put it down in the comment section. Reach me out on Instagram. I don't read much of Facebook messages, but LinkedIn, there's a chance. All of those social media handles will be down in the description box. Unfortunately, because of the busyness, I had to close down the one-on-one consultation. Right now, I open it when I could manage it. I have closed it before as well. Right now, can't manage it. So, can't do much about that. Thank you for your support, guys. I hope you got to learn a few things out of my discussion over here. I'll see all of you in the next one. Till then, bye.